Hello chess friends and welcome back on ABC Chess Analysis channel. In today's video we will analyze the game between two grandmasters. With the white pieces we have Fabiano Caruana and with the black pieces we have Kirill Alekseenko. They played this game in the Candidates tournament of 2020 and Caruana opened game with the move d4. After that we have knight to f6, c4, e6 and then knight c3, bishop b4. So this is one Nimzo Indian. After that, white played a move f3, we have d5, and then a3 move. Then black has to choose what to do with this bishop, and he has two options. One of them is to move this bishop back to the e7, and another one is to take the knight to c3. In the game, he played bishop to e7, but if he captured the knight, that's the main line if he captures, so pawn takes back, and then black has to play c5. After that, c takes d5, knight takes d5, and then d takes c5, make double pawns here, and the white's pawn structure is not very good there. Because of that, black can attack them, moving the queen on a5 and attack two pawns, so the pawn on c3 and another one on c5. Because of that, white can continue this line with the move e4, and then the knight is challenging to do something. So the main line is knight to f6. In the case if he takes the knight, with the knight the pawn on c3, this knight can be trapped, or he can be in a big trouble after the move queen d2, and the knight is pinned here. So because of that, he will not take it, and he needs to move knight back on f6. Okay, but this line did not happen in the game. And here Kirill chooses to move the knight back on the square e7. After that we have e4. White wants to create a strong center, so d takes e4, f takes e4, and then attack in the center. So with the move c5, white will go d5, so he wants to create a strong pawn in the center. So e takes d5, e takes d5, and after that Kirill play castle. So they are still in the opening and they did not develop a lot of pieces. So Fabiano chose a way to develop his knight and the bishop on the king side with the way bishop on e2, and the next idea is move the knight on f3. So rook e8 and knight to f3. After that, bishop to g4, and we have a castle for white, knight bd7 for black. And basically, if we look at the pawn structure, white has a very strong pawn on the d5. It is a passed pawn. He's connected by the pawn on c4. And in every endgame, this pawn on d5 can be very useful. But in this game, Fabiano decided to make this pawn a bit more active, and he pushed it up. So once when he pushed this one, bishop is attacked, and bishop has only one free square to go, so he moves the bishop on the square f8. After that, he plays h3, bishop moves back on h5, and then knight to b5, looking for the move knight to c7, attack the rooks, and take some of them. So if he plays rook to e8, idea is if he moves the knight on c7, he will play rook takes d6, and it attacks the queen on square d1. So white first has to protect that pawn, and he played the move bishop to f4. After that, we have a6, which attacks the knight. So knight c7, attack two of the rooks. Rook can move to e4, and white is not able to capture the rook there because the bishop is hanging. And here white has to do two good moves. So he chooses one of them, which is a bishop to h2, but he could also play queen d2, which protects the bishop, and also it opens the way for the rook to go on d1 or e1, and that can help white in his attack. But in the game, he moves the bishop back on h2, and after that, rook to c8, g4, it attacks the bishop. So here Kirill decided to open up the king side and to sacrifice some of his material. So he first captured on g4 with the bishop, and when pawn recapture, he recaptured with the knight on g4. So he's threatening to go there on e3, which attacks the queen and the rook. And after that, white moves the bishop on d3. So knight moves to h2. We have bishop takes e4. So if white try to take the knight on h2, it will give some chances for black to continue his attack. So for example, if knight takes, queen g5 is coming, it's check to the king. So it makes this king very exposed. He also has a chance to take with the king, but after that there is a move in between which black can play. So bishop takes d6. It gives the check, also attacks the knight. The knight is trapped. So in the next move he'll move the rook away from the square e4. So in the game he played rook. Bishop takes rook on e4, and we have knight takes rook on f1. Queen takes back, and then bishop takes d6. So a lot of tradings here happen. So let's count the material. White moves the bishop on d5, and if we compare the material, we can see that white has an extra knight, but black in return has 3 pawns on the king side, and according to material position is equal. But I think that white looks slightly better because he has initiative. His king is exposed, he's completely open there, but he has a lot of pieces to protect the king. In this position, black moved the pawn on g6, and we have queen to h3, king g7, and then king to h1. Idea of king h1 move is to open the square g1 for his rook, so the next idea is to go there and make some attack using the g file. So knight e5 happened, and after that, of course, white is not interested into trading, because if you reduce material, black can be good with a lot of pawns in the endgames. So he moves the knight on h4. After that we have h5, which I think that is a huge mistake, because every time when black push one of the pawns, it will create some holes in his structures, and white will be able to use them. In this case, his idea was to move the knight there on the square g4, and from that square he blocks the attack for white, and also he threats some ideas like knight f2, give some checks and stuff like that. But white will go rook to g1. That happened in the game, and then bishop moves to f8. If he tries something else, if he moves the knight to g4, I think that white has a very strong attack after knight to f5, which gives the check. And for example, if he takes, bishop will take it back, and the next idea for white is to take the knight here. So also he can take with the queen, and then later take the knight there. So knight is pinned, and this material advantage of the 2 extra pawns for black doesn't mean anything. So he's completely lost. So after rook to g1, he moves the bishop. So bishop to f8 was played. And after that, white gives the check with the white did not give the check there yet, so he first moved the knight on f4, and then he's looking for that check. Also, he wants to move knight on the square h5, knight to g4. Hopefully, he wants to block the g file and his attack, but there is no time to wait for white, so he captured the pawn on h5. After that, d takes h5, and then bishop to f5. Idea of that move is, of course, to take the knight and open up the king. So bishop to e7 attacks the knight and also open the way for the king to escape. So bishop takes g4, h takes g4, and then queen takes g4. It gives the check, and if he moves the king, there must be the mate somewhere. So he played bishop to g5 and offer the piece for free. But Caruana did not capture that. In the case if he takes, let's see what's going to happen. When the queen takes, king takes, we are in the endgame where white has a material advantage. He has a knight against the pawn, which is winning for white, but still black has some chances. He can be annoying with some attacks with the rook. He can try to attack the pawn b2 and give some checks to the king. Much easier way to finish the game after bishop to g5 is to play queen to h5, and the next move would be this one. Rook takes g5. So in this position, Kirill just resigned the game, because there is no point to continue playing this one. He doesn't have any good move which can help his position. So even if you play f6, if you play something like that, the position is completely winning for white. White has a lot of ideas to finish this game, like moving the queen on a g6, or play knight to f5 to give some checks to the king. And in this position, after queen to h5, Kirill resigned. So this is the game from the round 2, played by the 2 grandmasters, Fabiano Caruana and Kirill Alekseenko. I hope you enjoyed this game analysis. So if you have something to suggest me, so feel free to do that in the comment section below, and feel free to analyze games with me. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next game analysis. Bye bye.